Long before humanity's first stumbling steps toward the stars, the Aeldari had already mastered the cosmos. Their civilization did not merely exist, it dominated the galaxy with such absolute authority that other species were but footnotes in their grand narrative. This supremacy was not achieved overnight, but was the culmination of millions of years of evolution, technological advancement, and psychic development following the catastrophic war in heaven. The Aeldari's ascension began in earnest after the Old Ones, their creators, fell in the devastating conflict against the Necrontyr and their Khatan masters. As the dust settled on that ancient war around 60 million years before mankind's recorded history, the Aeldari found themselves inheritors of technologies and psychic knowledge far beyond the comprehension of lesser races. Unlike the brutish Krork, who were designed purely as warriors, the Aeldari had been crafted with sophisticated minds and powerful psychic potential. The transition from the war in heaven to the First Aeldari Empire was not immediate. Archaeological evidence suggests a period of recovery and rebuilding that lasted thousands of years. During this time, the Aeldari consolidated their knowledge, refined their understanding of the webway, and established the first permanent settlements that would eventually grow into their core worlds. By the time humanity was still hunting mammoths on ancient Terra, the Aeldari had established an interstellar civilization of staggering proportions. Their domains stretched across tens of thousands of worlds, each one a testament to their mastery over matter and energy. This empire reached its zenith during what human historians would later term the Age of Technology, approximately 15,000 to 25,000 years before the 41st millennium. While humans were making their first tentative journeys beyond their solar system, the Aeldari had already been masters of the galaxy for millions of years. The foundation of Aeldari interstellar dominance was the webway, a labyrinthine dimension existing between real space and the warp. Contrary to popular misconception, the Aeldari did not create this marvel. The webway was the work of the Old Ones, a network of tunnels through the immaterium that allowed for instantaneous travel without direct exposure to the perils of the warp. What the Aeldari accomplished was the expansion, refinement, and maintenance of this ancient technology, adding their own pathways and gates to the existing framework. The webway's structure resembled an impossibly complex spiderweb of tunnels, chambers, and pathways. Some were vast enough to accommodate entire fleets, while others were barely wide enough for a single traveler. These tunnels connected fixed points in real space, allowing the Aeldari to travel between stars without the dangers inherent in conventional warp travel. The webway's gates could be found on countless worlds, hidden in plain sight or secreted away in impossible locations, beneath oceans, within mountains, or floating in the void between stars. Aeldari society during this golden age was structured around a complex system of city-states, colonies, and vassal worlds. At its heart were the core worlds, planets like Asurian, Isha, and Vol, where the highest concentrations of Aeldari lived in unimaginable luxury. These core worlds were marvels of engineering and artistry, with sprawling cities of crystal and wraithbone that stretched across entire continents. Floating palaces drifted through skies of perpetual twilight, while in the depths of artificial seas, philosophers contemplated the nature of existence in meditation chambers that defied conventional physics. The majority of Aeldari lived on these core worlds, but their empire maintained countless colonies throughout the galaxy. These ranged from minor outposts to substantial settlements that rivaled the splendor of the homeworlds. Each colony maintained its connection to the empire through the webway, allowing for constant cultural exchange and reinforcement of Aeldari ideals. It is crucial to understand that the Craftworlds, those massive, self-contained vessels that would later become the primary bastions of Aeldari survival, were not significant during this period. Craftworlds originally served as massive trading ships and cultural exchanges, traveling between the stars via conventional means rather than relying solely on the webway. They were essentially mobile colonies that facilitated commerce and cultural exchange throughout the empire. Only in the final centuries before the fall did some Craftworlds begin to take on their later significance as arcs of salvation. The social structure of pre-fall Aeldari society was fluid yet hierarchical. Unlike the rigid castes that would later develop among the survivors, ancient Aeldari could pursue any path that interested them. Their near-immortal lifespans, often measuring thousands of years, allowed individuals to master multiple disciplines over the course of their existence. An Aeldari might spend centuries as an artist, then transition to the path of the warrior, only to later become a navigator of the webway or a cultivator of exotic life forms. Leadership within this society was typically held by those of greatest age and experience, though not in any formalized system as humans might understand it. Councils of the eldest guided the broader strokes of policy, while day-to-day governance was often handled through complex psychic consensus mechanisms that allowed for rapid decision-making across vast distances. The concept of kings, or emperors, would have seemed laughably primitive to the pre-fall Aeldari. Their governance was as sophisticated as their technology. The technological achievements of the Aeldari Empire during this period defy easy categorization. Their mastery of matter and energy was so complete that the line between technology and art had long since blurred into irrelevance. Central to their technological paradigm was wraithbone, a psycho-reactive material that could be grown, shaped, and programmed through psychic means. Unlike the crude metals and plastics of lesser races, wraithbone was semi-sentient, self-repairing, and possessed properties that shifted according to the needs and desires of its creators. Aeldari cities were not built so much as grown, with wraithbone structures rising from carefully prepared foundations under the guidance of bonesingers, psychic artisans who could sing the material into the shapes they desired. These cities were living entities in their own right, responding to the needs of their inhabitants and reconfiguring themselves as required. A dwelling might expand additional chambers for guests, or an entire district might rearrange